Hello everyone, it's the Space Chaser again. Welcome to another model review video. And today we've got a Routemaster. Not this one, this is the 1/76 scale EFE Routemaster, but the slightly bigger one standing next to it. So this Leviathan of a bus is the Sunstar 1/24 scale Routemaster. Sunstar are a Chinese company. They mainly do trucks and cars in 1/18 scale, but they've ventured into the British market with some 1/24 scale buses. Did the AEC RT, did the Bedford OB, and then they did this, the Routemaster. There have been a number of versions, about 13 so far I think, and some more still being released. The model first appeared in 2004. This particular one, catalogue number 2903, was released in February of 2005. 2,500 of them were produced, and as you can see it depicts vehicle RM664, registered WLT664, which was known when new as the Silver Lady. Contrary to what it might appear, it wasn't painted silver, it was delivered in unpainted aluminium. And I'll talk a bit about unpainted buses in a little while. But RM664 was new in July 1961 in its unpainted condition. It served at various garages when it was like this. It didn't stay very long at any of them. I think it was sent round just to test the concept of unpainted buses in as many different locations as possible. So it served at Highgate, Poplar, Rye Lane, Mortlake, Stonebridge Park, Finchley, Cricklewood, Hanwell, Fulwell, Shepherd's Bush and Walthamstow. The model depicts it when it was based at Fulwell between July of 1964 and October of 1964. On Route 285, which ran from Wimbledon to London Airport Central. London Airport obviously being Heathrow. It wasn't called Heathrow at the time. It was known as London Airport. So it depicts the bus in a 3-month period, as I say, July to October 1964. In August 1965, it was taken into the works. It was given a thorough clean, an etch and a prime, and it was painted in normal red livery. And it served as an ordinary red bus after that. It passed a privatisation to Arriva London South eventually, and it was withdrawn by them in July of 2004. July seems to have featured quite heavily in the life of this bus. But yeah, July 2004 it was withdrawn from Arriva London South service. As far as I know, it's preserved. It was last reported at Framlingham in Suffolk in private ownership, and I believe it is still there. So why was it unpainted? Well, this was a fad that took place in the late 50s and early 60s. Various operators tried unpainted buses, including Edinburgh Corporation, South Wales Transport, and Liverpool Corporation, and of course London Transport. The idea was to save a bit of money basically. It costs money to paint a bus, as any preservationist will tell you. Even if you do the work yourself, buying the quantity of paint needed is very expensive. You have to bear in mind that back in those days buses tended to be coach painted by hand, so they'd have several coats of primer, a number of coats of top coat and then various coats of varnish. So it was a costly business, and it was designed to avoid that cost. There was also another cost saving, which was in a bit of weight. All those coats of paint actually had a weight to them, and the idea was the bus would be slightly lighter, so it would save a little bit of fuel. A fairly negligible amount per vehicle, but obviously if you extrapolated it across a big fleet like London Transport, the idea was it would save a lot of money. The problem was the concept didn't really work. Most unpainted buses like this one were painted pretty soon after they were delivered new. Liverpool continued with theirs. They didn't paint theirs, they just acquired extra bits of paint. Some operators like Edinburgh put a little band on, so although the bus was unpainted, they put a maroon band around the middle here, just because Edinburgh buses were maroon. Just showed you who operated it. I believe the South Wales one was completely unpainted, like this one was, apart from the wings. You can see the wings were done in black paint on this bus, whereas the rest of it was unpainted. Liverpool added some dark green bands to theirs. Their colour was dark green for the normal buses. Apparently it was to aid visibility in fog, although how putting a dark green band on anything makes it more visible in a fog is a bit of a mystery. But as Liverpool one survived quite a period of time into the mid-70s, by which time they were run by Merseyside PTE. Although Merseyside PTE did add more bits of paint to them, they painted around the windows and things. So the majority of it was unpainted, but not quite all. But as I say, most operators gave up with unpainted buses quite quickly and painted them, and the reason for that was the concept, as I say, didn't actually work. There was a fuel saving, but it was absolutely minuscule. It wasn't really worth having. But the bigger problem was the buses looked terrible. Anybody who's ever seen unpainted aluminium will know it oxidises, so it loses its shine first and it tends to start turning a white colour. And that's what happened. Some sources said that this bus was known as the White Lady, and it's quite possible that after it had been in service a few months and the panel started to oxidise and turn white, that it took on a bit of a white appearance, and some people might have called it the White Lady. But the other problem was the panels didn't actually oxidise at the same rate, depending what kind of wear and tear they were subjected to. So the buses started to look really, really patchy. If a new panel was put on, obviously that looked pristine, and it just made the rest of the panels look even scruffier. And on fleets that prided their appearance, it wasn't really the done thing. So they started to look horrific. People noticed, and they just eventually gave up and painted them. So that is the history. Let's have a look around the model now, and you may notice this one's damaged. Again, Pacer Chaser has bought a cheap, damaged one. There are no indicators or mirrors. As you can see, they're missing, they've come off. The seats are a bit of a mess, as we'll discuss when I look round it. A lot of them have come loose. When I picked it up at the show where I bought it to see if the price tag was on the underside, it rattled, which is never a good start to buying a model bus, is it? So yeah, it is one that I've bought cheap. As you can see as well, the top deck is beginning to detach itself. I did wonder why it was so damaged, and I saw a couple more for sale at the time that I bought this on eBay that were in damaged condition. I thought, how were they damaged? Because I remember these coming out. I saw the advert in Buses magazine, and I saw the price and just thought, no, I can't afford one. But you would think that they would just be taken out of the box and put on a display shelf, and that's it, and they wouldn't become damaged. But I found out how they become damaged, and I'll explain that later on. But let's have a look around the bus first. So as always, we'll start with the front. The front dome is pretty good. This one's a bit scuffed and marked from wherever it's been standing. As you can see, it's got a little bit of damp on it as well, which I'll clean off. Again, it's the previous owner, wherever they've had it. It's obviously not been in a well-ventilated place. But yeah, the dome itself is really good. The strapping over the panels is modelled all round, as you will see, complete with rivets. That is very, very nice indeed. The front windows look a little bit square-cornered, as do most of the windows, as we'll come to. They're not too bad, but they should be a little bit more rounded, I think. And the opening vents are modelled all round. The winding handles are modelled as well. Routemasters, for anybody who doesn't know, before they were refurbished, had wind-down windows. So you got hold of that handle and just wound it round and round and round, and the window dropped down, and you obviously wound it the other way to get it back up again. So all of the handles are moulded onto the windows, and they're all done this like jaunty angle sticking up like this. The destination blind looks good. It's not perhaps the best I've ever seen. There's a bit of a representation of trying to put it behind the glazing, make it look like it's behind glass, but it doesn't look particularly convincing in that respect. It's not even as good as some of the other blinds on the bus. But yeah, it's not a bad attempt. The lettering looks pretty good. You can see all the intermediate points there. And then Wimbledon Hayden's Road. Hayden's Road station was the terminus of the 285. As I say, at the other end it went to London Airport Central. This bus appears to have been sponsored by the Daily Express at this point. All the adverts on it are for the Express, as you will see. That is realistic. It happened in real life. Again, you've got the panel strap in there. You've got this ventilator there, which is very, very nice. There is some relief to it. This is the heater intake, and it looks very, very, very good. The windscreen is also nice. Just try and move the light round so we get the light onto it. I'll look at the interior a bit later on, so don't worry about that. But yeah, the windscreen's nice. You've got the representation of the dividing bar there. The top part of the windscreen would open to give the driver some ventilation. The windscreen wiper is missing because, again, I've bought a damaged one. Got the sort of side light there and all that kind of thing modelled very nicely. The headlights look reasonable. They look a little bit strange. There's an attempt to make them look like glass, but it's not quite worked, as you can see. They do have a slightly curious appearance to them. Some Routemasters, when new, had this grille with just a straight down dividing bar. The more famous one that was fitted to them later on, including this one, had an AEC triangle badge at the top, and then the dividing bar came down from the bottom of the badge, and it also was a little bit more rounded in places, but when they were new, some of them had this squarer grille, which is nicely modelled. And just look at the mesh, that is really, really nice indeed. It's proper mesh on the grille, and it looks absolutely fantastic. Also looking fantastic are these small grills. These were to ventilate the brakes. On the prototype Routemasters, they had trouble with the brakes overheating. So they fitted these little grills. They did the first about 1700 or so Routemasters that were built with these, and then realised they didn't need them anymore. They'd actually improved the brakes, and the brakes didn't overheat. So they were panelled over as time went on. Some of the later ones were built without them, but the ones that had them had them panelled over, including RM664. But at the time it was modelled 1964, as I say, when this model represents, it would have still had its brake ventilation grills, so they're correct. You've got a little spotlight there as well. And the registration plate nicely done in its little moulding there at the bottom of the grill. Instead of the AEC badge, when they had this grill as well, the buses carried a little London Transport roundel, which is there. As you can see, it's been partly worn off. It's been caught by somebody, and they've worn the middle bit off, but the remains of it are still there. Move it with some difficulty. While we're poking around the front, let's just lift the bonnet, and you can see the AEC engine modelled in great detail down there. That is very, very nice to see. The bonnet doesn't hold itself up. It's not supposed to on these models. They came with a prop, which wasn't the kind of thing that you'd have in real life that went from there. It was actually a big thing, looks like half a pencil. It's designed to stick on your table or your board, and then the top of it goes into the top of the bonnet there to hold it up. So if you want to display it with the engine visible, you can do, which is really nice, but it looks horrific. Obviously a big sort of pencil thing stuck in front of the bus. But yeah, it did come with that. Obviously I haven't got one. It's missing because I don't have the box. I don't have the indicators and mirrors and things. I don't have the prop for the bonnet. But the engine is very, very nice indeed. The detail is quite remarkable, as you can hopefully see. But yeah, very nice. Got the ridging on the bonnet side there as well, which is good to see. And the whole bonnet area looks pretty good, it has to be said. You've got the little number blind lurking just under the canopy there, as it would in real life. Looking very, very good. Looking probably more realistic than the front one. Try and get the whole bus into shot. It's very, very difficult. This is a very large model. Again, the windows look a little bit square cornered. The general impression of the side of it is pretty good. Sorry, I'm struggling with the light because the model is so big that the light isn't actually reaching all of it. But yeah, the general impression is pretty good. The windows, as I say, a little bit square cornered. The opening vents on the side are actually a separate fitting, as you'll see when we get round to the off side, because one of them's missing. But yeah, panel lines, the strapping over them, really well modelled again with rivets on. Daily Express advert, definitely of its time, speaks for all classes. This is when people still admitted that there was a class system in Britain. Nowadays, of course, we're told we're a classless society. I'll let you make your own mind up on that one. But there were no such pretensions back in the 60s. They knew there was upper class, lower class, possibly middle class, and the Daily Express apparently spoke for all of those people. Side blind looking pretty good. Again, there's more of an attempt to make it look behind glazing. It looks probably better than the front blind, as we said earlier on. The wheels are very, very nice indeed. They stay as well to the front wheels, and they're probably the best steering wheels that I've ever seen on a model. The 176 scale ones tend to look a bit weird. They sort of stick out at weird angles and lean over and things. They don't look quite convincing, but these are very, very good indeed, as you can see. Fulwell Depot plate there, duty number 7, legal lettering for London Transport Executive down there as it should be. Got the unladen weight and the maximum speed there. The rear wheel has a wheel disc on, as Routemasters did when they were new, that is correct. Got a bit of damage to this model, obviously, apart from the detachable upper deck. If you can see in there, again I'll do the interior later on, but somehow the bulkheads managed to go missing, which is a bit concerning. There should be a bulkhead there. The glazing is still in place, as you can see, but the actual bulkhead has fallen out and gone missing. I don't own it. It didn't come with the model. This brings me to a point with a lot of Chinese models that I've mentioned in some of my Brit bus reviews where I've done their 176 scale things about build quality. It's like, you can understand now bits like the mirrors and the indicators have managed to come off because they're sticking out separate bits. Similarly, the pole in the middle of the entranceway is missing as well. You can see the grab pole that should be there is not there. That's come out. You can kind of see that it's easy to catch it as you're handling the bus, and it's a separate fitting. But how on earth a bulkhead has managed to fall out is just beyond comprehension, really. I mean, it's not the kind of bit that gets knocked about. It shouldn't be falling out, and it does make you wonder about the build quality of these models, and that is something that I will come back to very shortly when I finish doing the look around. The rear dome is a little bit too upright. There's not quite enough curvature to it. It's not far off, but it's a little, as I say, it's a little bit too upright at the back, and it does spoil the appearance slightly. But having said that, the emergency exit is a work of art. The dome itself might be the wrong shape, but this emergency exit is really, really good. You've got the hinges there modelled. You've got the little handle, which looks like you could just get hold of it and turn it. The rain strip across the top of it is modelled nicely, and it just looks really, really good. The back window does, they've got the handrail across it, it just looks brilliant. The back blind again is good, probably better than the front one, although the glazing there is not fitting terribly well. There's a bit of a line across it, which obviously there wouldn't be when you're looking at it from above anyway. If you look at it from normal kind of angle, it looks alright. Lower deck back window is pretty good. You've got the handrail for the staircase going across it, as it should have. That is a very nice feature. Again, the ever-present Daily Express adverts. You've got the indicators there. One of them is missing because, again, I've bought a damaged bus. That's managed to fall off. And again, that does flag up build quality. Although it's a separately fitted part, it shouldn't be coming off, really, with any degree of ease. You've got the 3 backlights across there. No reversing light on the Routemasters at this point. Some of them had it retrofitted later on in their lives. But the idea was if it needed to reverse, the conductor did hand signals and things and warned any motorist behind it that it was reversing. You didn't need a reversing light. Registration plate is sunken in, maybe not as much as it should be. It doesn't quite go in as much as you would expect on a model of this size, but it's still sunken in a little bit and looks pretty decent. And again, the strapping down the bottom there, nicely modelled. If we move around to the offside, yeah, we've got a bit of a curious couple of things on it. Again, the general appearance is pretty good. The windows look a little bit square cornered. This one's managed to acquire a cigarette burn there, which is a bit of a problem, but never mind. I mean, I can paint over it, a bit of silver paint, you won't notice that. One of the odd features of it is this offside route number blind. It should have a route number in it at this point. They hadn't stopped using them by 1964, but as you can see, it's somehow been modelled blank. The glazing is there for it. It just doesn't have a number behind it. It's just plain silver, which it shouldn't be. I mean, obviously, if there was no number displayed, it would just be plain black. So it seems really odd that they've bothered to put it in, but not actually put anything in it. That is really, really weird. The fuel filler looks quite good. I'm not sure if it should have a cap sticking out or not, but as you can see, this bus hasn't got it. So it's another part that's possibly come off. Paint's a bit chipped on this one around the wing as well. But it seems to have had a bit of a hard life. Again, you've got the openers moulded on the windows, as you can see, as they were on the near side. Here's what I mean about the opening section being a different piece, because this one's missing. It's managed to fall off completely. You can see there's just a gap there, which is, you know, a bit of a problem. I'll have to try and make a replacement piece out of plastic for that one. Come down, you've got lovely lettering on the side of the cab, Routemaster RM664. Weirdly, there is no glazing in the driver's door. I'm not entirely sure why. It seems a strange omission. I don't think it's fallen off. It's not within the driver's cab. It's just not been put on. It seems really strange. They've glazed all of the other windows apart from that one. But as you can see, I can stick my finger through it. There's nothing in there. So yeah, it's a bit weird. Going on to the roof, nothing much to report. Again, the panel lines are nicely done, and the strapping with the rivets on over them, quite lovely. Nothing else at this point. Obviously, the bus is modelled in 1960s conditions, so there's no radio dish or anything like that. But yeah, it's pretty decent. Now, just excuse me a moment. I'm going to try and get something to prop it on because I can't turn it right over, but I will turn it over a bit so you can see the chassis detail. And there we go, courtesy of a handy A5 size folder. There is the chassis detail, quite stunning to be honest. Not much under the platform, but the rest of it, you've got all the chassis members shaped as they should be. Try and get the camera to focus. There we go, that's better. Got the transmission there, everything, the fuel tank, Just really, really nice indeed. Lots and lots of detail. What I think it doesn't appear to have is the exhaust, which is a bit curious because it's got everything else, but anyway. But no, it's really, really nice indeed. And this, I think, is partly why these get damaged so easily, because there's actually nowhere to pick them up. They're very, very heavy models. It's a large model, and it does weigh an absolute ton. But obviously, if you put your fingers underneath it to lift it, you are on the platform because it's just a plain plastic bit. As you can see, there's nothing there. But for the rest of it, if you put your fingers underneath, you tend to try and break the transmission or the fuel tank or something. There's always an ominous crack when you put your fingers under it, and it's very, very hard to actually get hold of it. Obviously, with this one, I can't lift it by the top deck because the top deck's coming loose, as I've already said. But even if I could, I mean, there's nowhere to get hold of it without risking breaking the windows or damaging something. It's very, very hard to pick up and move, even if you're taking it out of its box and putting it onto your display shelf. So we'll have a look at the interior, starting with the driver's cabin. You've got quite a good representation of everything there. You can see there's a little dial on the dash there. You've got the steering wheel, the driver's seat, the thing sticking up, which I believe is the indicators. All very nicely modelled indeed. You've got different bits and pieces. The only thing I can't see is the handbrake, which I believe was next to the driver's seat. It's stuck up quite a long way. It was a big lever, but they haven't. It's not modelled, but it's no detriment to that. It looks pretty good as it is. There's quite a lot of detail in there, and it's very, very, very nice indeed. In fact, no, there is the handbrake on the other side. You can see it sticking up the sort of V-shaped thing. That is the handbrake lever. So ignore what I just said. As you can see, the interior has got a representation of the maquette, which looks very, very nice indeed. The iconic, if we can use that word, Routemaster maquette. The seat back grab rails are modelled separately. As you can see, they look very, very nice indeed, very realistic. As you can see, the backs of the seats are done in the prototypical light grey colour that the rail ones were, and you can see the various problems with the interior. Most of the seat cushions have detached themselves. As you can see, you just see the frames. I mean, you know, kudos to Sunstar for doing the frame detail, because the frames look really, really good. As you can see, the seat frames look brilliant there, but they should have cushions on them, and all the cushions are loose within the bus. That seat has gone one better and detached itself completely from the floor. But yeah, it's again, build quality. We'll come back to that. And it's a shame because it's a really, really nice interior. You can see the Treadmaster flooring modelled there and done in the correct brown colour on both decks. But yeah, it's a real shame that the build quality doesn't live up to the actual standard that it's been finished at. You can see there's a representation of the silver stair treads as well. One of them was worn off. Again, I wonder how that's happened. I mean, obviously it's not an area that gets any wear and tear. Nobody's handled the bus from the staircase, have they? You know, 3 steps up, I'll get hold of it there. So I don't quite know how that's managed to wear off. But yeah, there is some nice detail in there, some nice separately fitted handrails and things, as you can see. So we're just trying to adjust my light again so it actually illuminates the bus and doesn't make it look weird. Talking of build quality, as you can see, while I've been moving it about to film it, something has fallen off. That's presumably part of the transmission detail from underneath as well. So it's something else that's dropped off the bus while I've been just moving it around, basically. So we come to price. I paid £40 for this at a toy and train fair, which was an absolute bargain. It was the cheapest one by far that I've ever seen. But as you can see, it is quite significantly damaged. It needs taking to pieces. It needs the seats putting back in upstairs, the cushions gluing back on, that seat putting back in completely. It needs a replacement window on the off side. You can actually buy a pack of the indicators and mirrors and things. The problem I've got with it is it's £29.99 from eBay. And as I only paid £40 for the bus, it does seem a bit of a silly thing to do to pay £30 for. You get mirrors, indicators and the central grab pull for the entranceway. And you also get the prop for the bonnet, which I'm not really bothered about because, as I say, it looks horrific. So I'm going to have to think about that, whether I want to spend 30 quid on parts for a bus that I only paid 40 quid for in the first place. Possibly not. I might leave the mirrors and the indicators off. It's one of those things, if you only had one on each side or something, you know, one of the two on, it'd look silly, but without any, it doesn't look too bad. I can make a grab pull for the entranceway, that's not a problem, and I can do without the prop, basically. But yeah, so I paid 40 quid for it. As I say, it's by far the cheapest one I've seen. I had a quick look on eBay for the purposes of this video. I'm doing this video in December 2024, just over a week or so before Christmas. And the cheapest one I could find was £110 plus £16.95 postage and packing, so £126.95. It wasn't a silver one, that was a delivery of Shilly Beer Omnibus, the green and cream livery. The most expensive one I could find was an open topper in red livery. They did the open top version as well, did Sunstar. And that was a whopping £451.13, including postage, from a seller in Japan. RM664, the cheapest one I could find, £129.95 plus £5 postage and packing, so £134.95. And the most expensive one, £328.56. Again, that was a seller in Japan, but it had free postage. So you're looking at a lot of money. I was very, very lucky to get this for £40, even though it does need quite a lot of work doing to it. But having said that, I like models that need work doing to them because I like to do the work. I don't get much from just taking the bus out of the box and plonking it onto a shelf. I like to do a bit to it, so that does give me some scope. Just for some balance, I had a quick look at the Liz Keith website as well, the model dealer in Eastbourne. They were selling a Sunstar Routemaster for £250. Postage and packing will be on top of that, so you're looking between £5 and £10 for a model this size. But yeah, £250, and that was the Arriva London Queen's Golden Jubilee one in gold livery. So that's the kind of price you're looking for. Would I recommend getting one? Well, that is a very difficult question to answer. Possibly not, to be honest, because, yeah, I mean, it's a lovely model. It is absolutely gorgeous. It's massive. It has a real presence because of its size. If you like Routemasters, then you'll almost certainly want one. The issue I've got is the build quality. As I say, you kind of understand the mirrors and the indicators coming off because the sticky out bits, they just slot into there. So that's, you kind of understand that. The handrail in the doorway, a little bit less easy to understand. Yeah, it's a separate piece, but it's supposed to be secured top and bottom, so how is it falling out? But things like the bulkhead dropping out, the silver wearing off the step, even though it won't have received any wear, the seats all coming out, the cushions falling off, the seat coming loose there. You know, whatever's happened to this bus, it's not been used as a football, has it? It's basically been displayed somewhere. The guy I bought it from said he just had it displayed on like a wall unit or something in his living room. But it's not had a particularly hard life. It's not been in service. It hasn't been pushed around the carpet. And yet there's bits dropping off it. And it does worry me with these models that you can pay all this money for them. I mean, you know, the cheapest one, 126 quid. It's not cheap and it's not pocket change. But yet, despite that, you can still have bits dropping off it and things like that. And it bothers me. To me, if you're paying that much money for a bus, you know, unless you actually drop it or something, you wouldn't expect it to break to pieces. And it's just, it leaves me uneasy that you pay so much and you could just watch it fall to bits on your shelf without doing anything. But of course, it's a matter of personal choice. If you want a big Routemaster, if you love Routemasters, then this is the model for you. It is a nice model. It's not quite 100% perfect, but it's really, really nice. And I'm glad I've got this one. But yeah, I'd just be mindful that, you know, if you pay a lot of money for it, you might get the disappointment that bits start to fall off and detach themselves. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching. Take care. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.